Man, this is your favorite channel, man, CTB. This is Chin Tuck Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Slay. Well, my co-host, say what up to him, man.
What's up, everybody?
You're hearing the sound of our voice, like we always say. Do yourself a favor, do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, the thumbs up, hit the notification bell, leave a comment so you can have a conversation with us, real boxing fans. With that being said, man, what's some of the topics we chopping up today, man? What's the first one on the list?
2021. Jake Paul is the cash cow of boxing. Is it good or bad? Also, but go ahead, we'll start with that one. We'll talk about the rest.
Okay. Is it a good sign that Jake Paul is the number one highest earning boxer in 2021? In my opinion, it is bad for boxing. It is bad for boxing because number one, the pay-per-view model is not dead, but they are drowning us with them. All these pay-per-view fights, especially PBC, which I'm pretty sure we'll touch on in a minute. And how many fights did Jake Paul have last year? Was it just the one fight?
He had two.
Was it two? Both with Woodley?
Yeah, I think he had two with him.
So he had two fights with Tyron Woodley, who's not even a boxer, and he pretty much beat out every other boxer who was fighting real boxers. That's the highest earning boxer. That is crazy as hell to me. But let me let you get your thoughts on it first, man. What do you think about it? Is that a bad thing for boxing, good thing for boxing? And what do you think boxing should do about it?
I think it's bad short term because it makes boxing more of a spectacle and circus, kind of more than an actual
Exactly.
entertain, real life boxing. But I mean, it started with Mayweather a little bit with the spectacle and making it an event. So to me, short term is bad, but I think long term is good because it shows to me that the world is still interested in boxing. And to me, Jake Paul is showing you another way to market yourself and become a huge star in boxing. You talking about a guy that learned the sport 4 years ago, and he made $50 million, I believe, last year off two fights. It might be more than that. More than that. Well, it was a lot. It was a lot. So if he can do that, imagine somebody who has the skill set that's fighting real fighters that can have a personality that's similar to Jake Paul. What kind of pay-per-view numbers he can do. So when people say boxing is dead, it kind of shows me that the boxing is not dead. It's just that you got to have the whole package. Is it fair? Probably not, but life ain't fair. That's how it is. But if a guy can have the skills of a Roy Jones or a Mayweather and have a personality of an Adrian Broner, you don't have to be an asshole like Adrian Broner, but just outgoing person that know how to market social media, you can be a multi-millionaire and sell 1 million pay-per-views. So I think it's good and bad.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Like you said, I think boxing need to learn from Jake Paul. I think they need to understand not only the build-up of a fight, because him and Tyron Woodley had some great back and forth, especially on the rematch. I think he made him get a tattoo on his finger, say I love Jake Paul and all kind of crazy stuff. All of that on social media made it a more entertaining fight, in my opinion. What's killing boxing right now is we have some of that. We have the back and forth on social media. We have the back and forth, the realistic beef, I guess you can say, between two fighters, but we never get to fight. Like, we have the back and forth, we have all of that, we have all the build up, but then we spend years of two fan bases going back and forth over the fight of a fight that never happens and probably won't never happen. If you look at Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, that fight hasn't happened and probably will never happen. The way Deontay Wilder talking now, like he's halfway in, halfway out the ring right now. And the way people talking about AJ and Usyk, AJ might get knocked out by Usyk. So that fight will never happen. After years of fans going back and forth, when they was undefeated, both of them was champions for all those years, all the fan beef and all that, they was going back and forth and all kind of stuff. We never got to fight. So what Jake Paul is showing is, I'm gonna put the whole thing on social media for everybody to see, from my training camp to me talking trash to you, to the contracts being signed. All of that shit is gonna be for the fans to see. The fans are gonna look forward to it, and they're gonna pay money to watch me go in here and either lose or win. Fighters, on the other hand, whose careers depends on wins. That's why I think it's the big thing. A lot of fighters' careers get shaped and molded by a win and loss. And that's why it makes them so afraid to get on social media and call out some of these other fighters because they're afraid to get that career cut short. Let's look at it like Kambosos and Devin Haney right now. Kambosos is not in a rush to sign the Devin Haney contract because a loss to Devin Haney will put a whole halt to everything he gained right now. He pretty much gained success in an overnight win against Lopez. So he's loving the attention. He's loving the being champion. He's loving that. But he's one loss away to losing all of that. He's pretty much one payday away from losing all of that if he loses against Devin Haney. So he wants to probably drag it out and get another fight where he can use his stardom a little bit. That's why I think boxing is probably they need to learn from the situation and they need to get better at. They need to get better at giving fans the fight what they want and when they want it, and stop trying to prolong it so long because it's killing the sport of boxing. What you think about that? What I just said, man? It was a really long-winded conversation I gave. But what you think about that?
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I think, like you said, people get too caught up in keeping that zero. But I think these boxers need to let people into their life more. Like, the world has changed. Like, for example, my daughter, she sit around and watch YouTube all day and just watch her family sit in the kitchen and cook. And it's an exciting thing to her. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And she just followed this family around. Every time they drop an episode, she's watching it. And then I look at the views, and it's 3 million views for a video that's 3 days old of a family just playing pranks in the kitchen. So we live in a world where everybody life is exposed at front and center. So as a boxer, you want that boxer that has that vulnerability to expose himself completely to the world, that lets you totally in. And a lot of boxers these days is not doing it. So if we come across a boxer that can do that, that has the skill set, I think you have a Jake Paul that actually can box. But, you know, I don't see anybody out there right now that can do that. And like you said, I think people too worried about the zero because of Mayweather. But I look at somebody like Adrian Broner. Adrian Broner has had 5 different times where he said, I'm coming out this time. I've been training hard. It's gonna be different, and we believe him. And we jump and we watch the fight. We buy the pay-per-views. We tune in, and then he throw 8 punches the whole fight. So, you know, and then he'll do it again and hype us up, and we'll jump back in because we believe in him because we seen him vulnerable. We seen him at his low, at his peak. We seen him spend money. We seen him blow money. We seen him depressed. We seen him happy.
The comeback story.
So. You know, it's just that they need to learn from Jake Paul.
Yeah, man, people love that comeback story with Adrian Broner. People just want to see him come back. Everybody wanted, like you said, everybody's scared to let that O go, but you can make money off the comeback story also. I think a lot of people are afraid to do that. But I'm gonna say this: 24/7 gave the HBO special. They gave Mayweather a different light. They put Mayweather in the stratosphere, in my opinion. A lot of fights, especially in today's era, me and you make YouTube videos right now. We do our own editing. We ain't go to school for this. We just doing this shit on. We got a laptop, we got Skype, and we just doing it. Got 2 mics in our faces, and we doing it. You getting paid millions of dollars as a fighter. It is no way, shape, or form you can't get somebody to follow you around with a cell phone or a camera and record you training and record you going by a car, going to record you doing whatever. I think a couple of fighters are doing it. I think the Charlos got a channel on YouTube. They do it. Adrian Broner used to do it back in the day. He had his AB show.
Devin Haney does it.
Devin Haney does it a little bit every now and again. If you are a champion, I'm going to say champion. If you're a champion or in that top 10 tier of earners in boxing, it is no reason why you don't have a camera following you around, especially when you have a fight coming up. If you have a fight coming up, you should have your own all access following you around with a camera recording stuff for your fans. That's going to make the fight grow. It's going to give us content. It's going to get all these channels on YouTube content to get, and we're going to talk about you and build the fight up more. It's free promotion when it comes to that point. You paying for somebody to record you. You drop the content yourself, so you getting paid off the content yourself. You get us to talk about it, so we building the fight up for you. And it's a no-brainer in my opinion. That's all Jake Paul is doing. All he's doing is he has a camera following him around. He's talking shit on YouTube and Facebook and all that shit. He goes in there and shows a little bit of his training clips. And then he go and beat somebody up for a couple $1 million and then go home. This the American way, man, in my opinion, man. There's no reason why no boxer should. Every boxer, I'm going to say this right now. Every boxer, if you're in the top 10 of earners, if you're in the hunt of a championship belt, you should have cameras following you around doing that and market and build your own brand. Don't look for these promoters to build your brand for you. We did a show recently about Terrence Crawford and Shakur Stevenson with Top Rank, how they have a problem with building black fighters. It's no longer, you can't have that excuse no more in 2022. In 2022, build your own brand. You got any